For the views, actions, statements, or opinions of its guests, advertisers, or even its viewers. The information contained in this program is not to be confused with medical or legal advice. An appearance on this platform is not necessarily an endorsement, but as always, we encourage you to do your own research. Enjoy the show. Good evening, everyone. And of course, welcome back. That's right. It's time for another very exciting episode of Red Pill News Live. Hope you guys are all having a lovely day. Thank you so much for joining us on this fine Wednesday afternoon. Big shout out to Climber63. Thank you so much, my friend. Another donation for your honeymoon fund, $100 rant. God bless you and Lisa from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Stay safe out there, my friend. Thank you so much for that support. Really do appreciate it. Also, thank you to Scooby Dooby Doo Right over on Pilled. Thank you very much for the cookie. Check my email, Brad says. Okay, I will go ahead and do that. Oh, you know what? I also forgot I need to get myself a Zoom link because I promised my good friend Adrian I was going to have him on the show for a very quick conversation. Let me just get this scheduled and we'll make this happen. All right, you know, one of my favorite things to do is to put President Trump in situations that he probably wouldn't be in otherwise. So to have President Trump arresting illegal aliens on the side of the road along with ICE, I just think it's so funny. All right. So, yeah, we are a little bit light on a variety of stories today, but that doesn't mean we don't have a lot to talk about. We had confirmation hearings, and we are going to be talking about that, as well as a bunch of other stuff. Some great announcements from President Trump, so do me a favor, hit that like button, help us out by sharing the show, and then sit back, relax, and grab your popcorn, because we're going to be right back after this.
Science proves that a healthy immune system is the body's first defense against the smallest of ailments to the most catastrophic. Coriolus Versicolor is the most sought-after, all-natural supplement for both humans and pets to help boost the immune system. There are over 400 studies worldwide on its effectiveness in humans, including Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, MD Anderson Cancer Center, and now from the University of Pennsylvania School of Veterinary Medicine. Together, we can help reverse this terrible tide now plaguing your loved ones and give them the immune-boosting supplements that they need.
3 boys taught me 2 things. Summer is an adventure and bugs are relentless. As an herbalist, I know you don't need harsh chemicals to protect your family. Here at Tamarack Garden, we've got you covered with natural sunscreen, mosquito and tick repellent that's even safe for your pets, a salve to draw out bug bites, and soothing sunburn cream, all made with the power of plants. Because we think summer memories should last longer than the bug bites. Tamarack Garden, protect your family naturally and eat your weeds.
All right, do me a favor, guys. Check out TamarackGarden.com and RedPillNews.PetClub247.com. I actually have a couple of brand new sponsors that are going to be coming on here very soon. I'm super excited to tell you guys about this. I don't want to make it. I don't want to ruin it yet, but it should be happening probably later this week, and I think it's actually something you guys are really going to dig. So, anyways, let us jump right into it. First, can you imagine if you were a 65-year-old woman, a 77-year-old woman, you're living down here in Florida, you get a brand new car, you go to the tax collector, because that's what we call the Secretary of State or the DMV down here, and then they send you your brand new license plate. It arrives in the mail, and it says, squeeze ass. Well, that is actually what happened to this woman down here in Florida, and she is not happy about it. I thought that they had like a system that would screen these sort of things out so that you didn't get a license plate that said something super offensive. Oh, hold on just a second. Well, let me play this, and you guys can see that she's not happy about it.
I don't think a woman that lives in a senior community that's going to be 77 years old next month will be driving around with what this plate has to say. I don't.
Oh, man, she could have a better attitude about it. If I got an out license plate in the mail that said squeeze ass, I would probably continue to keep that license plate. I think that would be so much fun to drive around with that, because I would imagine if I saw this license plate, I'd be like, how did they let her get away with that? But yeah, no lie, it says squeeze ass, and if she doesn't want the plate, then maybe she can transfer it over to me. All right, now, we also have a not funny clip. However, this is pretty informative. This is the widow of Corey Comparatori. Corey, of course, is the firefighter that lost his life in Butler, Pennsylvania, when someone tried to assassinate President Trump. Now, this 3-minute segment from a longer interview that she gave to News Nation in an exclusive, Helen essentially suggests that Thomas Crooks, or whomever it was that was on the roof of the AGR building, did not work alone. She is one of us, you guys. She believes that this was, in fact, an inside job, and that the only way that Thomas Crooks could have done what he did, or whomever the assassin was could have done what they did, is if they had help from someone on the inside. Now, from what I understand, she did have a sit-down with Secret Service. They offered her the ability to ask as many questions as she wanted, and at the end of the day, although she felt that they were forthcoming, she believes that they really basically don't know much of anything at all, and that was probably the most frustrating part. Nobody could tell her why it was that her husband had been murdered. Nobody could tell her anything else about the circumstances surrounding that day. And, you know, we went over the report not that long ago from the OIG, and I think that they did a pretty good job making it look as if there was sort of just a massive amount of irresponsibility and negligence in the Secret Service. But I don't buy that. I simply do not believe that this was a one-man job and that was it. You know, there are so many things that we still don't have answers for. The strange trajectory of the bullets that seem to be coming from multiple directions. Of course, there is the person on the water tower. There is the car that was towed that we never got any answers on. And, of course, there is the behavior of the FBI and the Secret Service in the lead up and in the wake of this event. So I think we owe it to Helen to hear what her perspective is, because when people get angry at people like us and say, you know, you're a conspiracy theorist, you shouldn't even be talking about this stuff. Why are you saying that? You are denigrating the Secret Service. All respect to the Secret Service. But the Secret Service that was on duty for President Trump's speech in Butler, Pennsylvania, is a different organization than what we have today. Is it possible that they destroyed all the evidence that could have led to answers that we want? Maybe. Is it possible that the Pennsylvania State Police maybe could have done more or become more forthcoming, or perhaps that they themselves covered up evidence? I think that's entirely possible, too. Let's go ahead and listen.
None of this was fake. I'm tired of hearing that. It was not fake that day. President Trump got shot. Unfortunately, he got killed. And I don't want anybody to forget that.
You know, and I do want to say that, too. That really pisses me off when I see people continuing to repeat that narrative, because I see it from people on the right and the left. Oh, President Trump just faked his assassination attempt. Why? I mean, like, it wasn't enough that he had multiple other real assassination attempts against him. It's not enough that this woman is mourning the loss of her husband. You don't believe that? I mean, I feel like it's such a low effort take to have on the whole situation.
And I was looking right in his eyes when it happened. So I don't want people to forget that. And that we struggle every day. Still. Because we don't have answers.
Looking back on that day in Butler, what do you think the Secret Service got most wrong?
Everything. They didn't pick up the radios. They had no communication. They had no communication with the outside. None.
I read in that report that there were 102 calls, radio transmissions that were missed.
Yep.
It says, instead, we found that Secret Service received only 5 phone calls and 3 text messages about crooks. So they're admitting they got 5 calls and texts and they didn't do anything. But what's your reaction?
My reaction is why? Why? Why wouldn't you have reacted from one?
Yeah, that is another thing that really upsets me about this entire scenario. I mean, not only is it completely inappropriate that they had not established radio communications going into this. I mean, the Secret Service has one job, keep their protectorate safe. You would think that over all of these years of operating as an agency, over numerous attempted assassinations of presidents and several successful assassination of presidents, that at this point they would get it right. This is ultimately what leads me to believe that this was not simply clown world level incompetence. This was the intended outcome that we got in Butler. The only thing is that President Trump survived and Corey lost his life.
I mean, if they would have held him back off that stage and not let him go, I wouldn't be sitting here with you today.
Crooks himself remains shrouded in mystery. Authorities still haven't publicly identified a motive for his attempted assassination of President Trump. You've expressed belief that the gunman, Thomas Crooks, didn't act alone.
I don't believe there was another shooter there, but I believe that he was working with somebody. I believe it was an inside job inside the government somewhere.
And this was political?
Oh, yeah.
Political head.
Absolutely. Yep. Yep.
Have you seen evidence to that?
Oh, I've been told things, but I've had something that happened with me that just afterwards, and you're starting to put the pieces together, it just made total sense.
What will help give you closure?
When the people who put this all together that day are caught and it comes out.
So if you had a message for President Trump, what would it be?
Just to don't forget us and remember what we went through that day. You know, we're still here and we need answers.
My greatest hope is that is exactly what's going to happen. That there is an investigation going on, that for whatever reason it hasn't been able to be completed at this point, that it's not just a dead issue, that they're not simply going to allow Corey to just have died in vain. I mean, what's most frightening to me is that the people who would have planned this assassination against President Trump at this point are just walking around free, that nothing has happened to them. And then, of course, you know, secondary to that is the suffering of the family, and not only Helen and her family, but also the families of the other people who were shot as well. I haven't heard anything about those people. I don't know how they are healing. I don't know how they've convalesced. You know, maybe the dude that got shot in the stomach is now forced to crap in a bag. I don't know. I mean, we haven't heard anything about it. And maybe it's because those people don't want to be in front of the cameras. But she's absolutely right. They should not be left in the dark, and this should not be where this investigation ends. 20 more seconds on this.
Parator says it was a year before the Secret Service actually reached out to her. The questions that she did ask, she says they didn't answer them fully, and she's now pleading, reaching out to President Trump, hoping that he will intervene, apply pressure, so she can get answers as to what happened here and why.
Absolutely awful. All right, now, okay. Got a couple of, in line with the idea of people who want to take down Trump, want to assassinate Trump, we've got two different people in the last 24 hours that have been exposed pretty handily. One of them I'm hoping will lose their job. The other one, I believe, is going to be in the middle of deportation proceedings pretty soon. So, first of all, we have a guy by the name of Professor Dave. He's a philosophy professor at the University of Hawaii. Now, he posted this video essentially creating some type of a fantasy scenario where he and the radical left, the commies, have taken down President Trump, and they are holding some type of Guantanamo Bay style tribunals for agents of ICE. It is one of the most unhinged things that I've seen, and believe me, we've seen a lot of them over the years.
Once these ICE agents are hanging from a rope after their trial and they're just sitting there choking and dying, and their families are crying, you know what we get to do? We get to go up to their families and literally drink their tears. We get to quench our thirst with their tears, right? So as the guy's just sitting there choking, and now we can finally see his face and his eyes are bulging out of his head, and everyone's laughing, and we're pointing at their family members laughing and just taking joy in the suffering of their family members, considering how much suffering ICE has inflicted on other families. It's gonna be great, right? I'm looking forward to seeing the suffering of the ICE agents' families as they're hanging from this rope after their trials, because they're just not going to get away with it, and there's nothing these guys can do about it.
I hope that's enough for this guy to lose his job. I hope that's enough for charges to be brought against him, because this is nothing normal, but this is normal for the world that we live in. We have a society full of mentally unwell people who are emboldened by social media and go out there and say just absolutely abhorrent things. I may not agree with a man like this. I certainly don't agree with communists, but I would never fantasize about murdering those people in front of their relatives and then relishing in the suffering of those people. I mean, it is one of the most darkest and sickest and most satanic things that I can possibly imagine. Now, for our second story in this segment, we have a woman by the name of Caitlin Tracy. Now, Caitlin Tracy is a perfect example of the classic.
See, as you can see, the more you around, the more you're going to find out.
Well, Caitlin is a Canadian citizen. She's 33 years old, and she's living here in the United States because she's married to an American. And she was just arrested after this incident at Point Pleasant Beach Boardwalk in New Jersey. This happened last Friday. So apparently, Caitlin is so infected with TDS and brainworms that she saw a young teenage girl dressed with pro-Trump clothing on, maybe a MAGA hat, a T-shirt. And the first thing she thought to do, what she felt most appropriate, rather than perhaps striking up a conversation with this young girl, was to run up to her and physically assault her for the support that this young girl was giving to President Trump. So she runs up to this girl. She verbally berated her and her friends. She kept approaching, physically encroaching on them. She was harassing them, chasing them, yelling at them, calling out their clothing. And then the victim, of course, was able to get away, but not before she struck this girl twice. She hit her once in the body, and then she punched her once in the face, and then she just walked away. Now, Point Pleasant Beach police officers were not too far away, and they were able to arrest Tracy. They tried to stop her. She resisted. Thank you, Jesus. And then they were able to get her and bring her in. Now, after this assault on both the officers and the young girl, unfortunately, probably because this is a Democrat-controlled area, Tracy was only charged with simple assault, but she was also charged with endangering the welfare of a child, harassment, and obstruction. I was hoping for a assault on a police officer or something like that, because you know that when it comes to stuff like that, the police tend to take it just a little bit more seriously. Now, there was actually, once she was arrested and the story got out, It turns out that ICE put a detainee locator on her, and they ended up moving her to the infamous Delaney Hall ICE facility. Now, her husband was also found to be a deranged anti-Trump leftist, and he has videos on social media celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk and celebrating possible assassination attempts against President Trump. He also had a couple of videos, where he prayed for Trump and everybody in his family to be stricken with cancer. Now, here are Tracy and her husband, and this is just to give you just a little taste of the type of people they are. The mental illness is on full effect. And I've listened to a fair amount of punk rock in my time, but this isn't good music. I'm turning the music down so that I don't get a copyright infringement on YouTube. I just went literally through 2 months worth of those, appealing them. Yeah, they're both gross people. Okay, hold on. I think maybe now we can hear her giving us some words of wisdom.
It's Kate. I'm Grabmaster Hash's wife. I'm here to talk about this comment by Susie. I wanted to say hi. Hope everything's good in Toronto.
She's got a Bucky shirt on, man. Don't ruin it for me.
So yes, as everyone has noticed, we are back in Jersey. We've been here for about 2 months trying to get our lives back together, trying to get jobs, trying to get a house. We have yet to get either one. Yeah, we've been focusing on trying to get our lives together, which leads me to...
Okay, so radical leftists, immigrant, unemployed, and generally a freeloader. I'm not going to listen to her spout off for the next 3 minutes because she appears to be totally unfocused and very similar to her direction in life. Let's see what this one says.
This is the last time that my wife, Kate, threw up.
Oh, God. Yeah. Okay. So obviously not much interesting to say. What is just a little bit more interesting is her husband begging the internet for help getting an immigration attorney before his wife is dispatched and sent back to the Great White North.
I need help. I don't know what to do. My wife is being detained by ICE. She's in Ocean County Jail right now, and I can't get a hold of her. She keeps trying to call me, but they won't let me put money on her card. The kiosk in the Toms River jail is broken, and all the numbers and stuff they gave me wasn't right or wouldn't allow me to put money on her card. And ICE is coming there to pick her up. I need an immigration lawyer. I need help. I don't know what to do. I don't have any money. I'm so fucking broke. But I gotta figure something out. I gotta save her. I need help. I need you to figure out. I don't know. This just happened. I need help.
Listen, first of all, you can tell from looking at this girl, she's nuts. Okay, that's probably what he loves about her. She's freaking crazy. But it's just a word of wisdom, boys. If you see a girl with that look in her eyes, that kind of hair, a bunch of shit in her face, piercings and stuff, stay away. Young men, stay away. Red flags abound.
I need my wife. I don't want her to get hurt. I don't want to see her get... I don't know what to do.
He doesn't even know what's happening.
I don't know what to do. Yesterday, July 13th, my wife was detained by ICE and brought to Delaney Hall in Newark, New Jersey.
Notice he doesn't bother to explain that his wife assaulted a minor and then resisted being arrested because of that assault on a minor.
This is my attempt to reach out to any news outlets, especially local ones to New Jersey.
Oh, hey, bud. Zak Paine, Red Pill News. Happy to report on you and your wife's predicament.
Like News 12 New Jersey or NJ.com or any journalists or reporters that are local that want to hear our story.
How funny would it be if I was to reach out to him, send him a Zoom link, and then have him show up live on the stream and just laugh at his predicament?
My wife is a Canadian citizen and I'm an American citizen. We've been married for a little over 3 years.
Now, what is her status here, Shane? What is her status in the United States? Is she here legally? Does she have a green card? Does she have a work visa? Because she ain't working. We already know that much.
And I'm just doing anything I can to get her story heard and bring any help to and attention to her situation so that I can get her released, even if that means back to Canada. My main goal is the safety and well-being of my wife, and that is about it. I don't care what your opinions are of me or the situation. That's kind of irrelevant. All that matters is her safety and her well-being. And if anybody would like to talk to me, please reach out here. I also have an Instagram.
Oh, man. Somebody help me find his TikTok so I can send him a message.
The handle is GravMasterHash. And I also have links in my bio for different ways that you can reach me. I appreciate that you can reach me. I also have, the handle is GravMasterHash.
GravMasterHash. Got it. Okay. Anyways, I'll see what I can do. I'll see what I can do to get him on the show in the next couple of days. So it looks like he does have a GoFundMe that he set up to help cover legal expenses. I mean, they don't link to it here, so I don't know exactly where it's at. His real name apparently is Matthew Gironi. And he claims to be her husband. He's a left-wing troll. Doesn't care what people think of him, but he just wants his wife released. Tracy entered the United States in 2024 using her passport, and she's been living in Asbury Park. And the incident was captured on surveillance video before she left the scene. I don't believe that we have the video of that, but here is Matthew GravMasterFlash praying that the entire Trump family gets cancer. The nose ring, bro. The nose ring was a dead giveaway. Dead giveaway. Dead giveaway. Oh, man. Okay, let's see. I want to see if they have the GoFundMe. They probably don't link the GoFundMe. Nobody ever links the GoFundMe when you don't want the people to actually get money for the crimes they've committed. But, yeah, they don't link to it. These people are obviously total freaking weirdos and losers, and so the United States would be a much better place with Tracy getting deported back to Canada. Why don't you move to Canada, bro? I mean, that's where your wife is from. Obviously, it doesn't look like you guys are doing anything to... Oh, it said it was taken down? Oh, well, that's too bad. All right, now... Speaking of left-wing terror, remember the other day it was announced that Secretary of State Marco Rubio was going to be hosting that multinational conference with our allies to essentially stave off the threat of international communism, combating the resurgence of left-wing political terrorism. So the State Department put this announcement out earlier today. On July 16th, Secretary of State Marco Rubio will host governments from the ministerial on the resurgence of political terrorism. The event will focus on this renewed threat to our societies and encourage stronger joint action to reinforce frontline defenses and close the gaps the terrorist actors continue to exploit. Far-left political terrorism is resurgent, manifesting in violent terrorist acts across the Western Hemisphere, Europe, Asia, and beyond. These are not isolated incidents. They reflect a deliberate, ideologically motivated strategy to destabilize free societies by violently targeting our political and economic systems, including attacks against private citizens, government officials, police and law enforcement, businesses, and critical infrastructure around the globe. For too long, however, this threat has remained a blind spot in the international community's counterterrorism focus, underestimated and under-resourced despite the danger it poses. Can't tell you how excited I am that they are finally paying attention to this stuff. Of course, the United States is taking a leading role in the countering far-left terrorism. Since November of last year, the U.S. has designated 4 violent far-left groups: Antifa-OST, the Informal Anarchist Federation, International Revolutionary Front, Armed Proletarian Justice, and Revolutionary Class Self-Defense, all as foreign terrorist organizations and as specially designated global terrorists, as well as offering up a reward of up to $10 million for information leading to the disruption of the financial mechanisms of these same 4 organizations. In recent months, the U.S. has also engaged law enforcement, counterterrorism professionals, and prosecutors around the globe through direct engagements, as well as the inaugural Counterterrorism Law Enforcement Workshop in May. And that convened 14 countries for a 2-day practitioner-focused workshop to exchange best practices for countering the threat of transnational far-left terrorism. The ministerial builds on that foundation, bringing together partners from across the Western Hemisphere, Europe, and Asia to expand coordination, enhance information sharing, and strengthen international law enforcement mechanisms to counter the threat. Secretary Rubio will highlight the importance of deepening cooperation with international partners to better map violent activity, disrupt terrorist financing, protect critical infrastructure, and promote collective action against a threat that respects no borders, because they don't even believe in them. Thank you so much to Unix Reactor for the $10 rant. He says, Honeymoon Fund plus. Thank you for that. Denise Ann, did your wife have the safety and well-being of the girl she assaulted in mind when she performed that act? She asks Matthew Grandi. I don't care if they're deported. They all need to be removed from this country. Yes, ma'am, you are correct. And then Einstein65. Zach, these leftist lunatics are gone. Don't think we can wake them up. Great show. Oh, no, don't worry. I wasn't going to have him on the show to try to red pill him. I was going to have him on the show to try to, to ridicule him. I mean, there would be no way I would be able to do the interview without a couple of good laughs. So that's a little cruel. I know, I get it. But, I'm just sick of these people. I'm not going to, celebrate if they are killed. Of course, that's terrible. But I am going to celebrate when they get arrested and then, held accountable for their actions. Because as we are seeing with this renewed focus on left-wing violent terrorist extremists, these people have gotten away with it for years. That's one of the reasons we have crazy nut jobs like that woman, because they feel emboldened to act like that. They've never, ever been held accountable for their actions. You can go to Canada. She would get away with that shit in Canada, all right? And he wouldn't get deported. They would absolutely love it. Justin Trudeau would probably ask him to sleep on his couch. And this is another excellent example of this. We have a New Hampshire Democrat lawmaker caught speeding at 107 miles an hour. It was a 65-mile-per-hour zone. And now she's claiming something called legislative privilege. She's basically saying that as somebody who is a politician, she should not be held to the same rules and regulations as you, the plebs. This woman, according to New Hampshire records, is State Representative Ellen Reed. She's a Democrat from Newmarket. Now, she's actually in the midst of a re-election campaign. Hopefully, this little incident will have an effect on whether or not she'll be re-elected. She's argued that deputies have no authority to stop or charge her because she was protected by legislative privilege while traveling to or from her legislative duties. Now, I know that New Hampshire is supposed to be a beautiful place to live, but I don't know that there's anything in the legislative schedule that would necessitate speeding at 107 miles per hour. I mean, that is absolutely insane. Now, she attempted to have both of her traffic cases dismissed. Read that again. There are 2 of them. It's not just one on these grounds. And she even took the issue to the New Hampshire Supreme Court. Of course, they are just a little bit more level-headed than this woman. They declined to hear her appeal in any respect. Now, it's been reported that Reed was first clocked at 107 miles per hour in the 65-mile-per-hour zone. This is on Interstate 93 back in December of 2024. And then again, she was cited driving 92 miles an hour on the same highway in June of 2025. Now, rather than simply contesting the facts of the citations or paying the fines, which she could have done and probably wouldn't have made such a big deal out of it, this entitled woman has argued that the New Hampshire Constitution's legislative immunity provision prevents law enforcement from arresting or charging lawmakers while they are traveling to or from legislative sessions. So I guess given her legal rationale, she could have been driving to the legislature speeding at 107 miles an hour in a 65 mile per hour zone. She could have run over a toddler in the middle of the road, splattered their brains all across the pavement, and it wouldn't be vehicular manslaughter. She would be held non-accountable for her actions because she's, of course, an elected state representative. Now, in court filings, she has likened herself to people like emergency responders, people like police officers and EMTs. And she's even suggested that legislators could similarly be exempt from routine enforcement while they are in the process of carrying out their duties. She has not publicly identified any emergency that required her alleged speed that she was driving at, but she complained that the charge was equivalent to an arrest, although she was not taken into custody. I know many places around the country where if you're speeding at that rate, you would immediately be arrested for reckless driving, and they would simply take your license away immediately. And her attorney, who is fellow former lawmaker Daniel Hines, also argued on her behalf that legislative privilege meant evidence that led to Reed's negligent driving charge was illegally obtained and moved to have it dismissed. The motion, of course, was denied because there is no weight in that particular legal argument. So, of course, she was found guilty of the non-criminal charge. She was fined $1,240. I can't imagine she also didn't get like 4 to 8 points on her license as well. And the court also threatened to revoke her driver's license if she got another moving violation within 5 years. Obviously, she got another moving violation within 5 years. No word on whether or not she still has a license. Now, her August hearing that's coming up is for a deferred portion of the sentence during which she is likely to face greater repercussions, especially since she got that second speeding ticket. During that second ticket that led to the additional speeding charge, she shouted at the deputy and angrily told him that he had no understanding of the state constitution or her privileged status as a lawmaker. Isn't it funny that a white liberal woman is screaming at the police about her inherent privilege because she is elected allegedly by the people? I wonder if we can find any videos of her perhaps talking about this, because that would just be the piece de resistance to see her trying to make this argument. I'm sure it's not going to make her look very good. Oh, here she is right here. She's the fat one in the tricorn hat. Here she is again. Same picture again. Well, looks like maybe she is smart enough to take advice from her lawyer and not speak publicly about what's going on. Okay. Well, too bad. Maybe once they take her license and maybe they'll strip her from the position she holds. All right. It is with great sadness and reluctance that I bring you this next story. I'm sure that you all remember the tale of Jashnapreet Singh, one of many illegal alien truck drivers who have killed people recently. This was the case in Southern California, where last October, this man drove his semi into a row of cars, never once stepped foot on the brakes, and he ended up killing 3 people, 3 Americans, as far as I know. So he went to trial, and just on Tuesday of this week, he was sentenced. He received under 5 years in prison for the deaths of 3 American citizens. So he had, of course, pled guilty to these 3 counts of vehicular manslaughter with a multiplier of gross negligence. Superior Court Judge Shannon Faherty, who's a Democrat, she was previously appointed by Gavin Newsom to fill a vacancy. She sentenced Singh to 4 years and 8 months in prison after the deaths of those 3 people. And that's not to even mention the numerous injuries to other people who he smashed into. And, of course, all of the damage to their vehicles. I don't even know if this guy had appropriate insurance. Now, of course, this guy is an illegal alien. He's from India. He was caught and released at the border at El Centro in California back in March of 2022. Now, the authorities now have put another ICE detainer on him, and he's currently in custody. They're not letting him back out, so that's good. I would imagine that they're probably going to wait for him to serve the entirety of his less than 5-year sentence, and then I'm sure that he's going to be arrested, and then he'll be re-deported. Now, President Trump earlier today at an event in Pennsylvania is making an announcement to address some of the problems that we have. Now, this won't solve it, but it will, in a fashion, make it easier for people to feel safer on the road. And it will also bring jobs for American citizens. Take a listen to this. If you are an American veteran and you were driving heavy trucks while you were serving, you will automatically be qualified for a CDL, and you can take over once we get these people off the roads.
And because we're here in Pennsylvania, where State Trooper Michael Farah was killed just 2 weeks ago by an illegal alien operating a semi-truck on a commercial driver's license, which he should never have had. He was here illegally, came in through Biden. Today I'm making one more important announcement. My administration will soon take historic action to get illegal alien truck drivers who are just killing a lot of people. They can't read signs. Many of them are on drugs or alcohol, and they shouldn't be driving these things, and they came in totally illegally, and we don't want them.
What is going on?
They are driving all over American roadways, and we're going to replace them with proud American veterans who are going to take our veterans, who are going to make them, we're going to teach them a lot about driving trucks, and in many cases they know. We're going to say any American who's driven a heavy truck for our military will automatically be eligible for a commercial driver's license. So we're going to get them taken care of.
So this makes a lot of sense, and I kind of wonder why they've never thought to do something like this before. Obviously, if you've had the experience of driving a vehicle of this type in the military, I think that responsibility and that experience should transfer directly over into the civilian sector. So that's good. We need to get these people off the roads, and obviously we need to have Americans that are ready to fill this niche. Now, Jeff, over on YouTube, I was looking for a question. Oh, here it is. Here it is. You asked, have I covered the Trump arch yet? So I haven't covered it today. If there's new news about the Trump arch, I didn't see it in my timeline or and any of the alerts that I get. So I will look for that when we get off the air today, and I will look to cover it tomorrow. There's probably a lot more from this event, but most of what I have is going to be covering the confirmations of both Jay Clayton and Todd Blanche. All right. Now, we also do have new information about the Houston father who was just killed by ICE agents after he attempted to use his vehicle as a battering ram and murder at least one of those agents. Lorenzo Salgado Araujo, 52 years old. He was the guy driving the van and trying to escape ICE. Well, it turns out that he had a bunch of bags of crystal meth in his car at the time that he was shot. That may have had something to do with why he did not want to be arrested and why he attempted to evade ICE. So this is coming from a newly declassified federal search warrant affidavit. Now, when the feds went through his vehicle, they found that he had 3 bags that were believed to contain crystal meth. And these bags contained a white crystalline-like substance in the middle of the dashboard between the driver and the passenger side of the vehicle. And investigators said the substance was consistent with methamphetamine. Now, I've already seen people trying to make excuses for this online. There was a story, and I remember this because I covered it, where a guy, I think it was a plumber, and he had bags of crystalline cat litter in his plumbing van. And, there's a big difference between crystal meth and the sort of clear crystalline cat litter. There will be some blue crystalline flecks in there. I've used it myself, and I've also seen a lot of photos of crystal meth from people like Lorenzo getting arrested. Now, you see bags of a crystalline substance in the work van of an illegal alien, and chances are pretty good that Houston father is going to be doing that crystal meth. I mean, generally speaking, I don't know anybody who drives around with baggies of crystalline substances like that crystal meth in their cup holder unless they are using crystal meth. Now, I would imagine they probably did a field test. It most likely came up positive for crystal meth, but this is also now going to be sent off to a real drug lab where they're going to do a full series of tests on it, and I'm sure that they'll give us more information in the future, but this is good enough for me. I mean, the guy's no longer with us, and he deserved everything that came to him. So, 52-year-old Lorenzo Salgado Araujo. Turns out he was a crystal meth smoking or snorting loser on top of the fact that he was an illegal alien. So FBI have the search warrant. They investigated his car. They got all of the information they need. I don't know if they were expecting him to have crystal meth in the run-up to his attempted arrest. But the filing stated that the potential drug offenses included not just possession, but possession with intent to distribute these controlled substances, along with the simple possession. That's another thing about drugs like that. You know, I mean, cocaine is not going to last you as long as crystal meth. If you're a crystal meth user, one baggie is probably going to be good for you for the day, unless you're a real bad addict. But you have a whole handle full of crystal meth baggies, and chances are pretty good you're going to be maybe providing it to somebody else. So authorities allege that obviously he tried to evade police. He did not want to be arrested. He accelerated over a median before being shot. And they already had the search warrant to gain access to his vehicle because they figured that it contained these illicit substances. And so it's maybe one of the reasons that they were as aggressive as they were. It wasn't like they just saw a brown guy driving a van, let's pull him over. They knew exactly who he was, and they've obviously had these sorts of interactions on a number of occasions in the past. Now, no new information about Joan Sebastian Guerrero, the other guy who was shot in Maine. Haven't heard anything about drugs being found on him or around him. But again, he was an illegal alien, and, you get what you came for. All right, so thank you very much to Sean Joe for the cookie. Thank you to Boys Blanc 89 for the can. Thank you to Sean Joe for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more cookies. And thank you to Filter Dog, who says the U.S. House has passed the NDAA 217-209 with the Save America language included. Didn't they do that yesterday, or was yesterday the vote just to see if they could vote on it? I'm expecting that. So yeah, it's now in the hands of the Senate. We'll see what happens. Thank you to I'm One Great Florida. My hometown, Deland, granted a permit for the usual Friday leftists, TDS ICE haters to protest on Saturday, July 4th. City Council is on blast. Sent complaint to the AG Uthmeyer. Fight, fight, fight. Good stuff. I like James Uthmeyer. He's a good dude. Okay. Now, yesterday we reported that Secretary of the DHS, Mark Wayne Mullen, had sent a memo out telling ICE agents they could no longer pull people over while they were driving. Tom Homan said, well, this is not going to stop us from arresting people. We're going to go ahead and just get them before they get in their car or when they get to their destination. However, President Trump did not like that. Universally, people saw that as a capitulation to the radical left and to the rhinos in Congress. Obviously, most of these arrests that we're seeing with ICE are happening when these people get into their cars. They want them to get away from their homes because if they have to arrest them in their homes, they have to have an additional warrant to enter. It just further complicates things. So it's a lot easier to just get people while they're driving, box them in, get them out, even if you got to break a window or a couple of eggs in the process. So allegedly, President Trump was really, really upset about Mark Wayne Mullen sending out that limp-wristed memo yesterday. And he said that he was very, very upset. He was furious over the optics of the whole thing, that he, too, felt that it looked as if the administration was capitulating to the radical left and to the corporate media. So when they sent out this memorandum, it wasn't long before President Trump himself put out another post in response to it. He said, the men and women of ICE are doing a great job, one that has to be done. Crime is way down in America. In many cases, with numbers that haven't been seen in decades, the open border policy of sleepy Joe Biden allowed 25 million people to pour into our country unchecked and unvetted. Many were criminals, and we have to get them out. I think everybody here believes that 25 million is probably a low estimate. In order to do this, we must be strong, tough, and smart, and we cannot give up on one of ICE's most important and effective crime-fighting tools, the traffic stop. Once we do, we are playing right into the criminals' hands. The radical left Democrats would like to see this done, but it won't happen on my watch. ICE, be judicious, fair, and smart, and go back and do your very important job. Keep those crime stat records coming. Remember, you are loved and respected in America. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Now, I actually saw Mark Wayne Mullen had reposted this announcement from President Trump, and it appears, for all intents and purposes, that he's on board with it. I'm starting to wonder if Mark Wayne Mullen wasn't the guy for the job. I got to be real honest with you. I said before, I'd love to see a Greg Bavino in this spot here, because I think that Greg Bavino would go hard in every single lane. I don't think that he would slow down anywhere. And, if people end up losing their lives because they want to use their vehicles as deadly weapons against federal agents, I have no sympathy for those people. I mean, there are plenty of interactions that people have, ICE and illegal aliens, and those illegal aliens comply with the commands of ICE and they don't lose their lives. You just don't see them because they're not as sexy or as action-packed. And of course, the radical left they can't use those in the same way as they can use somebody getting shot because they want to use their car as a battering ram. So the official word is President Trump has overturned Mark Wayne Mullen's order, and we don't have to worry about them being hamstrung anymore. Little Peach, he's got a crush on Greg Bavino. I don't blame you. I mean, he is definitely a man's man, and he's not afraid to tell people what he thinks. All right, now, we also have an update. Do you guys remember back in December of 2023, there was an illegal alien, a member of Tren de Aragua, who entered the United States of America, and at some point he became friends with a magistrate judge. He was taking pictures with that magistrate judge. He was illegally owning weapons and then having that same magistrate judge taking pictures with them. This guy was from Venezuela, and he ended up living with this Doña Ana County Magistrate Judge, Joel Cano, and his wife. Now, the Tren de Aragua gang member has just been sentenced to 19 months in federal prison. And his name is Christian Ortega Lopez, and he pled guilty to illegally possessing firearms and conspiring to destroy evidence after investigators found that he had illegally entered the country. Now, he was supposed to return for his removal proceedings, but he never did because he figured, hey, I'm going to live with a judge, S.A., and we're going to have everything taken care of. But Homeland Security investigations launched the case because there was so much evidence to show that this judge was conspiring with a member of Tren de Aragua. They got a tip that Ortega Lopez was living in Las Cruces. They got a tip that he had these illegal firearms. And it didn't take much for those tips to come in because he was posting videos and photographs on social media showing himself handling these guns. And that, again, included images that were taken at the residence of Magistrate Judge Cano while he was wearing tactical gear. He even had night vision. You guys ever tried to price out some good night vision optics? They're not cheap. All right, I would love to have some of those things, but unfortunately, they are outside of my price range. I don't know how this illegal alien gang member, Tren de Aragua terrorist, was able to get one. Maybe it was a gift from the judge. I don't know. But federal investigators say Ortega Lopez admitted that he knew it was illegal to own these weapons, and he later conspired with another person to simply delete his Facebook to try to prevent the contents of his actions from being used against him as evidence in what he could only assume was going to be a case brought down upon him by the federal authorities. Now, former magistrate judge Joel Cano and his wife Nancy have also been charged in this case. And they are also charged with evidence tampering because it appears that they attempted to delete evidence once they were aware the feds were likely going to be coming after their houseboy. And their trial is set to begin on September 21st in Doña Ana County. Now, if you don't remember, here is former magistrate judge Joel Cano. Here he is holding the weapon, which is a nice piece. I'm going to be honest with you. Looks pretty cool to me. This is actually an upper that I have tried to get in the past, but they're all sold out everywhere. Or maybe I can't get them in the size that I wanted. That's the problem. But Christian Ortega, that is his Instagram account, or maybe that's his Facebook account right there. And he posted all those videos and pictures of him and the judge hanging out, having a barbecue, holding on to the guns. I don't know what Joel Cano was thinking. Maybe he just thought because he was a judge that he would never get caught, or maybe he's stupid. I don't know. To become a magistrate judge, it doesn't take much. But anyways, before we bring my good friend Adrian onto the line here, I do have a couple of clips for you from the just released interview that J.D. Vance did with Joe Rogan. And there are a couple of interesting pieces. First of all, J.D. Vance comments on the Epstein files situation, and he admits that the administration, elements of the administration, totally blew the rollout. Certainly the messaging was bad, the optics were bad, but it doesn't mean that they were doing anything improper. Take a listen.
Say this with all candor, like, we absolutely screwed up the comms of the Epstein files, like we just did. But do I think the reason we screwed up the comms is because we were trying to hide something? No. I think the reason we screwed up the comms of the Epstein files is one, Pam Bondi said the client list is on my desk, right?
Well, they had binders. They were standing in front.
But those binders were largely documents that had already been released, right? So let me try to
what was the
defend.
purpose of that performative display of the Epstein files? And she was saying there's tens of thousands of hours of film.
I don't know what the purpose of it was, but I know that the effect of it was to make people mistrust the entire effort. And what I think was happening, look, I know Pam, I like Pam. I don't think there's anything malicious going on. I think Pam was trying to respond to the political moment. I think she overstated what we had and what we didn't have. And I think that she, got roasted for it publicly by a lot of people, including me.
Including me. I love the honesty. I find it to be so refreshing, the messaging on so many different things that are coming out of the administration. Now, actually, I will play one more clip for you before we bring Adrian on. So one of the confirmation hearings that's going on right now, two very consequential confirmations, that would be the confirmation of Jay Clayton, currently the U.S. attorney for the SDNY. Kind of interesting hearing about Epstein right now. And then he will become the director of national intelligence. And then also the confirmation of Todd Blanche. Now, Harmeet Dillon knows Jay Clayton. She commented that he is a consummate professional and a serious lawyer who I respect and has worked very well with the Justice Department. And here is a portion of Jay Clayton's opening statement for his confirmation hearing, talking about his various roles, where he's worked for President Trump. And let me go ahead and make this full screen, and we'll get this going.
A few specifics on my national security experience. As the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, I've gained significant national security experience, including in matters involving foreign terrorist organizations, counter-espionage, money laundering, bribery, and the abuse of our communications platforms to create and sow distrust. We interact with the U.S. intelligence community and counterterrorism officials continuously on dozens of important national security matters. In addition, I've acted as the principal liaison with senior officials at Treasury, State, and the Department of War on matters of national security. As chairman of the SEC, I advised the intelligence community on various matters and directly confronted issues with national security implications, notably leading our cybersecurity and cyber resilience for critical infrastructure in our financial services sector. combating Chinese influence on and exploitation of our markets, and importantly, maintaining economic stability and confidence in our markets during the COVID-19 shutdowns. In the private sector, I also engaged in a broad range of national security matters, including with officials from the Federal Reserve, the Department of Justice, and Congress. As an example, between my time at the SEC and my return to government at the Southern District, I testified before the House China Select Committee. Across these roles, I saw firsthand how judgment, discipline, integrity, and most importantly, effective communication and cooperation across different branches of government are essential to our national security. If confirmed, I will have those principles front of mind every day.
All right, so I see it in the chat. SDNY is not exactly trustworthy historically, but Jay Clayton is the guy that President Trump chose to come in and clean up the SDNY. Jay Clayton is the guy who also oversaw the removal of Maureen Comey. Jay Clayton is also the guy who oversaw the release of all of the Epstein files that we did not know they were hiding at the SDNY. So Jay Clayton is not the guy to blame when thinking about the historic corruption at the SDNY. All right, let's go ahead and we will hear more from Jay Clayton, but I'm just getting the Zoom meeting started and we'll bring this in. And then I will tell you why Adrian is here. This, my friends, is going to be a very, very exciting announcement. Why is this meeting not starting? Okay, here we go. Okay, we're going to get him in here. And before we do, okay, so let me bring him in, and then we will play a video for you guys, and it will explain everything about why my good buddy Adrian is here. Adrian, I'm just getting this pulled up on screen so that everybody can see you, and then I want you to tee this up for us, because this is something we've been talking about for a very long time, and I have had a very difficult time trying to keep it quiet, but now it's time to announce this. Adrian, how are you?
Doing great, man. I couldn't be more excited to be here with you and to finally get this off my chest. I've been like playing it close to the chest for a year and a half now, as I've been toiling away at this, and the cat's out the bag at this point. So I figure I'm going to come on and share it with your audience. And I think there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be interested in it and excited by it like we are. And yeah, even if you're not into this sort of thing, I think you'll find value in it as well. And
okay, so I have to.
So what we're about to do is play a trailer. Am I right?
Yeah, you're correct. I have to convert it so that it will play in OBS, but it will be done here in just a moment. 22 seconds.
Just to give it like a little preamble. Basically, what you're about to watch is the concept trailer for this project. It's still in the pre-development phases, and it looks like we're going to be launching. Well, I'll get to that, but right now you're going to see like the concept for the project. It's a video game, and it's an open world RPG. It's a huge project, but it's rooted in real life, as far as I see it.
Okay. So let me get this pulled up on screen, and we will play the trailer for everybody. First, let me say thank you very much to Lee Walden, who says, Zach, you stay frosty on the lotion, bro. Love you, mean it. Best to you and yours, Patriot. Thank you so much, Lee. And also, it's Tony, man. Good to see you out there, Tony. He says, hey, Zach, I had to jump on because I can see you got the devil in your eyes. That means you are long overdue to do some pranking. Yes, that may be the case. Tony, I'm glad that you're doing good, buddy. Good to see you. Let me get this trailer pulled up, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy this because you know me, and just the other night I did a segment on baseless conspiracies about a man who allegedly has a real Sasquatch body. So it is perfect timing for Adrian to announce this. Okay, hold on. I actually have to make sure that the audio is on so everybody can hear it. Okay, there we go. And Boom.
Long before our people's time, their footprints and shadows have traced the land. We call them Enochoya, the Guardians. They are the watchers of the borderlands between worlds. Not beast, not man, but something else, something older. Those who take them as myth or anomaly are wrong. Their nations are here, among us, just out of sight. We stretch across mountains, deserts, and seas. They walk apart from us, unseen and rarely heard, until their ground is trespassed. Then you will come to know them, and you will not forget. One alone can wield the strength of 100 men, but their true power lies beyond flesh, masters of stillness, able to step from this world into another, in the space beyond the veil. Long ago, a treaty was made between their people and the governments of man. Honor was promised, space given, if peace was sworn. But promises break. Blood has marked both sides. A reckoning is coming. But there are far darker things, with names we do not speak, dismissed as myth by the West, but very real, hungry and restless. As the veil grows thinner, soon we will be forced to confront what awaits us in the shadows. When that day comes, pray they stand beside us, or if not, they will be our most formidable foe.
Okay, so this looks awesome. It is a video game, open world, based on the lore of Sasquatch, and you've got like Native American stuff in there, White Walkers, what's the other one, dude?
Skinwalkers.
Skinwalkers, that's what I meant. Skinwalkers, not White Walkers. That's obviously Game of Thrones. Okay.
We do have the rake is going to be a part of it, though, like the little pale crawlers.
Yes.
There'll be like a slightly less powerful cryptid foe in it.
Okay. So, but yeah, you've got a whole bunch of different cryptids in here, and this is obviously totally self-financed by you. And do you got a team, or is it just you building the game?
Well, I couldn't possibly afford to self-finance this. Yeah. It's going to cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
We're gonna be raising capital in a number of ways, and one of those ways. So I have a partner on this, and he's been in the gaming industry. He works in IT and technologies and stuff, but he's also a huge conspiracy theorist and cryptid fanatic. And,
right on.
I met him through church, so he's super based, and he's a perfect partner. So he also is like really good with business and like negotiating contracts, distributing equity, knowing how to handle all this stuff on the business end, which is not my forte.
Yeah.
I'm in the creative space. So I dreamt this up. Well, before I get to like how I thought of it, just to answer your question. We just launched this project. This is a concept trailer, and we launched it in pairing with an actual full website. So if anyone wants to check out more about the game, you can go to Sasquatch-nations.com. And that's where you've got the full breakdown of like everything that the important things that's public facing at this point that we want to, put out there so far, like as far as like the game systems, the game modes, the kind of gameplay you can expect, some imagery from the storylines, and the website is really beautiful. And it premiered on Sasquatch Chronicles, which is like one of the biggest podcasts in the Sasquatch sphere, which is really where the idea like stemmed from, is listening to thousands of Sasquatch encounters in my free time and becoming obsessed with the subject. And so after building all this stuff out for the last year and a half or so, I reached out to Wes Germer, who is the host of Sasquatch Chronicles, and I know he's a gamer too. So I was like, he's gonna love this. So I shared it with him, and sure enough, he fell in love with it. And I've been, my partner and I have been dealing with him and his people for months now, and they're great, based people too. Like they're really great people. And his producer in particular is someone who took a real passion in the project. And as I'm looking at your screen, I think okay, you got it covered.
Yeah.
So we launched this project with an interview. So he interviewed my partner and I, and if you want to check out that interview, it's on Sasquatch Chronicles. It's the public episode. Like, he does 2 a week, one for members only and one for all access public. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's on everywhere that you can listen to those, and you can check out the full interview. And that's where we officially came out with it, because we decided that it'd be best to just plant our flag in the idea, because it's honestly it's a brilliant idea, if I do say so myself. It's never been done before. And surprisingly, no one has treated this subject seriously in the gaming world, and it's got the potential to be more than just a game. It could be a graphic novel series, animated series, character, figurine, collectibles, merch, whatever. It's just a perfect sort of IP that has a built-in audience of millions of people around the world who are super passionate about it, myself included.
Me too.
Yourself included as well. And this treats the subject with the respect it deserves and builds out the lore that's all rooted in real world sightings. And it's just the perfect formula for a game to play as Sasquatch. And the more I thought about it, piecing this whole world together based on these real accounts, and I realized just how many things connect, and the areas that don't connect, or that are just question marks because we couldn't possibly know, I was able to come up with some real clever ways to fill in those gaps and make sure that it all connects. So what I'm getting at, as per your question about funding, we wanted to come out with this in a few months prior to, we are most likely going to be launching a Kickstarter for it. And that'll be like in collaboration. We're going to partner up with Sasquatch Chronicles so they can help us utilize their audience base to really kickstart it, no pun intended, and kickstart the Kickstarter, because the way Kickstarter works is really works with like algorithmically. Like, the more traction you're getting, the more its algorithms will boost it and stuff like that. So I want to share with the community that I'm already a part of over here, because you guys are my heart, and Rise Attire is my baby, and you guys know all about Rise Attire, but this is probably looking like the next leg of my journey in my life, that I'm going to be exploring game development, and from the perspective of a creative director. I don't have a ton of experience with like Unreal Engine or anything. I have been working with it. I've been teaching myself, and I'm good at teaching myself these sorts of things. It's all my abilities in video production and even music production and graphic design, I'm all self-taught over a very long period of time. So that sort of thing comes naturally to me, and I've been able to actually come up with some, just experimenting with Unreal Engine and beginning the process of developing, already been able to do some really amazing stuff. And so once we launched the Kickstarter, and already, like, since the launch of this interview and the website, just the wave of response that has come in has been extraordinary. And we've already got people applying to be on the team.
Right on.
Who are like, this is what I've been dreaming about. Like, I want to, get involved in any way I can. I had a linguistics expert hit me up today, who's like fluent in Chinese, Arabic, and all these different languages, and also just happens to be a fanatic about Sasquatch. and is like, I can help you guys build the language that they speak in for the game. And like,
Sweet.
I've already got ideas of how to do that authentically and stuff like that.
Good stuff,
So-
man. So if people want to check it out, I shared the link to the website, sasquatch-nations.com. And how long do you think it's going to be before you get the Kickstarter up?
I think we're aiming to launch the Kickstarter around October. Right in the holiday season, yeah.
Okay.
But in the meantime, we'll be, doing our rounds and preparing for it. And, there's more work to be done. We have a whole pitch deck that's like fully illustrated, fully rendered pitch deck. It's like 15 pages long right now. I've got a whole game design document at GTD that I've written 2 full storylines out for. One that takes place in the Pacific Northwest and one that takes place in Arizona. And they have 2 different kinds of situations that you're in. The Pacific Northwest, one is like a coming of age kind of story. You're a young male Sasquatch and you're coming up in a troop, a tribe that's within a larger kind of tribal nation structure. And I guess I'll give your audience like a quick rundown of the concept. So, basically, the way it works in the game is you play a Sasquatch and you have, you live on the periphery of society, human society, so you have different kinds of humans that you come into contact with. There's hikers, campers, let's say you're in the Pacific Northwest storyline. You've got campers, you've got hunters, you've got farmers, people who like are living in areas that you're dwelling around. You've got Bigfoot hunters, and that's the like non-threatening kind of human aspect of the dynamics in the game, but you still have to navigate around them and oftentimes terrify them. You got to scare them off your territory. You keep them away because the more they come around, the more of a nuisance they become. And it's an important dynamic in the game. And the other important aspect of it is that if you kill a human, so the government knows about Sasquatch. The government is fully aware of them, and you're allowed to exist, and that's how I think things really are. If I'm being honest, guys, I think the government is fully aware of these things, and they don't deal with them. They don't, interfere or intervene unless a human is killed. So if you kill a human in the game, which you can do, sort of like Grand Theft Auto in that kind of respect, you could pretty much do whatever you want, that a Sasquatch within the capacity of a Sasquatch can do in their world, but if you kill a human, you have to deal with a swift military response. And they're localized within deep underground military bases in the area. There's all kinds of intrigue and complexity built around that. So if you stay the straight and narrow, you keep a good karmic kind of rating, you can develop your way upwards in the tribe. You have a paranormal powers as well. There's paranormal aspect to Sasquatch, and that's all tracks with real world sightings. David Paulides' new documentary, the guy behind Missing 411, is all about paranormal Sasquatch.
Yeah.
I mean, there are very real accounts of like you have like a set of huge set of 19-inch footprints, in the snow that just disappear in the middle of a field, just stop cold. People have witnessed, and not just people, but like, state troopers, military guys, people who are highly trained have had encounters with these things, often terrifying ones, face-to-face ones. Like, you're not mistaking it for a bear. You're talking about a creature that's like 10, 11 feet tall.
Right.
And people have witnessed them just like, bink, disappear, gone. And, 1 second they're shaking the ground as they walk, and next second they're just nowhere to be found, So that all that gets explained in the game. That's a part of the experience. So, and it all connects. So whether you believe it or not, it's okay. Like, there's still all kinds of fun to be had. You don't have to believe in Sasquatch to get absorbed in the game.
Right.
And, I think what's great is that this game is going to be a departure from all of the depravity and violence and just, I don't know. I think video games are in a sad state these days. I think everything is post-apocalyptic. Everything is anti-human. Everything is like humans are zombies. It's what you expect from the mainstream cabal controlled apparatus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so we're looking to do the opposite of that and create a game that's grounded in truth, because all the best stories are grounded in some degree of truth. And I think there's a human element to Sasquatch as well. If you look at the Sasquatch Genome Project, which was a famous double-blind study that was done with Sasquatch hair that was found, hair samples, they basically half human, half question mark is what they found. So, there is a humanity to them, and there will be, an important aspect of the game, mechanics of the game that rewards you for staying on, doing the right thing, and you get ostracized and hunted for doing the wrong thing, for being shitty.
Yeah. Okay. So this is going to be available on Steam, I'm assuming. So,
to start.
Yeah.
And just to if I've given anyone the wrong impression, we're this pre-development phase.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
We're raising capital, and we're going to be hopefully launching, beginning to start development in early 2027.
Okay.
And once we develop this out, which I think it's not going to take as long as your typical title like this normally would a few years ago. I think the way technology is evolving, you're able to do a lot faster than you were before, and so one of the main platforms we're shooting for is Steam. Yeah. And depending on how things go, how much capital we're able to raise, we can go for consoles. We might go for an exclusive play or something. But
okay. Well, as soon as the Kickstarter is ready, dude, just let me know, and I'll go ahead and help share it out. And I'm really looking forward to being able to play it myself.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. We're gonna have so much fun with this, and we're gonna change the gaming industry.
Right on, dude.
From the indie perspective. But I would encourage everyone to go check out Sasquatch-nations.com. And there's a survey there. If you're interested, there's a mailing list. Fill out the survey. All that information is super valuable to us right now. Drop your email address. Let us know what you think of the idea. If you've got any ideas, if you had any experiences of your own, let us know. Get in touch with us. If you've got some idea for the game, we want to make this a communal effort. And, if you yourself have experience in Unreal Engine, if you're a developer, absolutely hit us up. If you love Sasquatch, if you're a truther, if you're, one of us and you're developing Unreal Engine, we need you.
Okay, awesome. Well, you guys heard it here. You heard it here. Sasquatch-nations.com. Definitely give it a go over. And like I said, as soon as the game's ready, I'm ready to play it myself on stream. So looking forward to it, Adrian.
Yeah, man, I can't wait. Thank you so much for letting me share this with your audience, bro.
No problem, man. I'll talk to you very, very soon. Thank you so much. All right, peace.
God bless.
God bless, brother. We'll see you. All right. Well, thank you so much to Adrian. I'm looking forward to this. Let me say thank you very much to GFontez119. I have evidence Sasquatch may have lived in Southern California and Florida prior to the Pacific Northwest, per my good friend born in California, then lived decades in Florida, returned to California, and now in Washington. We call him Sasquatch. Okay. So, yeah, there was actually a whole bunch of Sasquatch sightings down here in Florida as well. All right. Filter Dog says, weird thing that just happened. I followed back at X Private Chat 7. which I think is Elon adjacent. Then my phone rang with a call from them with an X audio call. What the hell? I don't leave my phone number anywhere on social media. So no, they wouldn't be calling your phone number. They were calling through X if you have the setting available for people to do that. I don't know anything about X Private Chat 7. That could very likely be somebody just trying to scam you. So be careful. You don't have to answer that call. And I don't know anything about the account. So I'll check it out later, but hold on just a second. Why is my mouse is not working? Okay, there it is. Okay, cool. All right. So, like I said, we also have the, besides the confirmation of Jay Clayton, we also have the confirmation of, Todd Blanche. But one of the things that Jay Clayton will be in charge of is, of course, the continuing investigations of what Tulsi Gabbard was working on. And one of the rumors about President Trump's speech tomorrow is that with his revelation regarding the insecurity of our elections and the need to beef those things up, the possible revelation that both John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock are illegitimate because their elections were stolen. So Democratic Senator John Ossoff had the opportunity to question Jay Clayton, and his questions, of course, centered around the 2020 election. Let's take a listen to this.
Who won the 2020 election?
I'm not going to do this with you.
This is a job interview. We've established that you have an obligation to be honest and forthright with the committee. Yes, you do have an obligation to be honest and forthright with the committee?
Yes.
Who won the 2020 election?
Like I said, I'm not going to get into that with you.
But you do have an obligation to be honest and forthright with the committee.
Is anything that I just said not honest or forthright?
Yes, you're not being honest or forthright. Who won the 2020 election?
I think I've answered the question. We can keep doing this.
Well, we're going to keep doing it because you're not being honest and forthright.
No, I'm not going to engage in the theater.
It's a simple question, Mr. Clayton.
And I've answered.
Who won the 2020 presidential election?
I've answered it.
You're here asking for the support of senators to lead America's intelligence community. We've established that you have an obligation to be honest and forthright with this committee and with the American public, but you refuse to answer a simple matter of fact about the 2020 election. Is that right?
No, that's not right.
Then answer the question. Who won the 2020 election?
I have answered the question.
Answer it. What is your answer?
I've given you my answer.
What is your answer? You refuse to answer a basic question about who won a presidential election, but you asked to lead America's intelligence community? Isn't it humiliating to be unable to answer this question, to have to indulge the president's delusions? We know, you know, everybody in this room knows the truth.
Now, are you guys seeing the video on screen? Because I'm looking at my Rumble stream and it doesn't appear to show what I want it to show. Hold on just a second. And I'm not seeing the chat moving. And hang on just a sec. I need to
full answer to that.
Can I get a confirmation that people are seeing what I intend them to see? Because it doesn't look like it's correct. Lisa, can you please tell me if this is happening correctly? Because it doesn't look to me like it's happening the way that it's supposed to be happening.
Question: why can you not give it?
I think I gave you the answer.
Anybody in the chat, can you confirm for me? Things do not appear to be working properly. Why is my... Yeah, I am having some issues here. Hold on. Okay, so why is my mouse not working? Hold on. What the hell is going on? Dang it. Arrange. Done. Okay, now it's working. Okay, now I'm seeing things moving properly. Okay, so that's good. Now, can you guys hear rewind 5 minutes? 5 by 5 now? It wasn't working? Wasn't working previously, or was working? Okay, who knows? But now I have control over my screen. Okay, so the point of this is that John Ossoff is freaking out, and he's trying to capture Jay Clayton in some type of a trap to have him say, I don't believe that the election of 2020 was real. No need to rewind. Okay, great. Excellent. And except, why is that happening? Yeah, I'm having some issues here. I don't know what the deal is. All right, listen. Before we continue, I do need to mention this next sponsor from our friends over on Rumble. Thank you very much to Rumble. You guys, you obviously hear a lot about crypto, but there is a big point that a lot of people miss, and that's the fact that crypto was created so you could actually own and control your own money. After the 2008 financial crisis, Bitcoin was designed as an alternative to banks, so instead of a bank holding onto your money, delaying transfers, or limiting access, it puts you in control. And if you've ever had to wait for a transfer to clear, you have felt that problem. So fast forward to today, and everybody's heard about crypto, but getting started might feel a little complicated. So that's exactly why I love Rumble Wallet, because it takes all the complexity out of it. It makes it much, much simpler. You can choose what you want to work with, whether it's Bitcoin, dollar-backed stablecoins, or even digital gold backed by real gold. It's not complicated to set up. It connects in moments with MoonPay, and you can use a debit card, credit card, or a bank account, and you'll be up and running in just a few minutes. So once you're all set up, you can even use that Rumble wallet to support your favorite creators on Rumble, whether it's me or somebody else, and it will be direct support. So do this right now. Scan that QR code that you see on screen, or use the link in the Rumble chat to download Rumble Wallet or off Rumble. Go to wallet.rumble.com, and then you get set up and get buying, and then you're in the game. So in just a few minutes, you can go from hearing about crypto to actually owning some. Thank you very much to Rumble for continuing to support the show. Really do appreciate it. All right, now back to the news. This was a really disturbing thing that I saw earlier on X. We have a guy who's running for Congress down here in Florida. He is a former Marine, and he posted a video on X essentially saying that President Trump was the Antichrist and declaring that he must be killed. This man is running as a write-in candidate, and these disturbing remarks were obviously immediately met with an appropriate and swift public response, not only from people on X, people within the military, but from the Marine Corps itself. And this man's name is William Upham. And the post was so disturbing that universally, people across the board were calling this guy out. It was a 6-minute video, and it's actually still available on his X account. You can see it right here.
For God and country. This is the motto of my campaign. I decided to run for office to fix our broken political system.
Now, he starts off, and I agree with him. The system is broken. However, I don't agree with him that President Trump is the Antichrist. And for him to say that and call for President Trump to be killed in the same breath while wearing his uniform, it really calls into question his mental fitness. Now, he was, I guess, medically discharged from the Marines. He was a first lieutenant, and undoubtedly this is going to lead to an arrest. He is going to be arrested, and he's going to be charged. Now, he tied his hatred to President Trump's reaction to Pope Leo, and that AI-generated image that President Trump posted where people said that it depicted him looking like in some Jesus-like pose. And so he said some things that I definitely agree with. He said that we're at a war with evil, that there is obviously a spiritual battle going on, a war between God and the Antichrist. But I stopped short of his assertion that President Trump is that Antichrist. I am just going to play for you for posterity the point at which he calls for President Trump's death. Actually, it looks like they have removed that portion from the article. However, it definitely should show you the acting Secretary of the Navy, Hung Kao, mentioning that this is obviously unacceptable. William Upham is no longer a Marine, and he does not represent our values or ethos. Here it is right here.
There is no doubt in my mind that the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, is the Antichrist. He is a false Messiah, and he is your enemy, and he must be killed.
Yeah, again, this is just a really bad look. I don't think this is going to get him any votes. And, it blows my mind that people can come out and say these things and think that they're not going to receive any blowback or any reaction from it. Certainly, if you go and look at the comments underneath his post on X, I didn't find a single one where anybody was co-signing on his comments or, offering anything positive to say. And it's especially mystifying to me when you look at all of the wonderful things that have come from President Trump's time in office, both his first and his second term. And we have a lot of things that we are fighting against, but President Trump is not one of them. Now, I played for you a segment from Jay Clayton's opening statement. I figure I will play for you a segment from Todd Blanche's opening statement, just a little bit of background on who he is and what he believes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chairman Grassley, and thank you, Senator, for that introduction. I appreciate you and your friendship. Good morning, Chairman Grassley, Ranking Member Durbin, and the other members of the committee. Thank you for having me. As Senator Durbin said a minute ago, I would like to offer each of you my condolences for the loss of your colleague, Senator Graham. He was a patriot and a friend to so many of us. It's a loss for the American people, and I think honoring him today, and as he's been honored for the past several days, is the right thing to do.
So, I appreciate what Todd Blanche is saying. He has his own experience with Lindsey Graham, but when I reported on Lindsey Graham's death the other day, and I suppose maybe it's because I didn't rail against him. I didn't feel the need. I've given my opinion on Lindsey Graham on so many different occasions. Somebody on YouTube commented and was like, what are you saying, that Lindsey Graham wasn't deep state? I'm sorry, but if that was what you took away from me just simply saying that somebody had died and talking about the circumstances of that death, I don't know what I can do for you. But I don't know, maybe giving that guy the benefit of the doubt, saying that this is the first time you've ever come across my channel. But no, that's definitely not what I was saying. I just didn't feel the need to, grind his face in the dirt any further, because I've already spoken about my opinions on Lindsey Graham on many, many different occasions.
17 months ago, I sat at this table as the nominee to be the Deputy Attorney General, and I told you that serving in the Department of Justice was my American dream. Since then, I have helped lead it, first as deputy and now as acting Attorney General, and I'm here today to earn your trust once more.
Now, I wanted to play this for you because Todd Blanche is such a class act. Not only do I think that he's doing the job that needs to be done, but he also handles each and every one of these interactions with such grace and aplomb. He is perfect every single time he answers a question, and he dismantles every attempt that these senators make to try to derail him or get him to cop to some ridiculous claim that they are making.
I've lived the American dream. I waited tables to get through college, moved to New York with my wife and 2 young kids, went to law school at night, read textbooks on the late train home while I worked days as a paralegal at the U.S. Attorney's Office. From that start, I became a prosecutor and spent 9 years prosecuting violent gangs and drug dealers. I rose through the ranks of the Department of Justice as a line prosecutor, then a division chief, then as of last year, Deputy Attorney General, and now Acting Attorney General. But I did not take that path for a title. I took it to make a difference for American families and the towns they call home. I am exceedingly grateful to President Trump for his trust, and to my family who have carried me through every long day and late night. My wife, Christine, our wonderful children, Sydney and Justin, my granddaughter, Blaine, who's here today. All of them are here today. My wonderful friends, many of whom are here today, are really what make this worth it and what gets me through my days. And so I want to thank them for not only being here today and supporting me, but also being with me every step of the way in the journey that we're on together.
So yes, Siesta Randy says that Blanche is getting savaged, lied about by the left, and there's a reason for that. You know, there are a lot of lawyers in America, and the ones who stood by President Trump and who supported him and who defended him, those are the good ones, okay? Think about how many other lawyers out there likely, you know, don't have the politics or the stomach to stand by somebody like President Trump. But even the ones who consider themselves to be good ones, but perhaps who just refused to stand by President Trump, who didn't want to represent him, or who didn't believe in him to be there standing at his side. There's a reason Todd Blanche is sitting in this seat today. It's because not only did he defend President Trump, but he did so effectively. And he did so with an honesty and a grace that I think a lot of these people in this profession are lacking. President Trump chose Todd Blanche to lead the Department of Justice. I think that he did not want Todd Blanche to be the Attorney General immediately, because he wanted to be able to help lay the foundation for him to come in and to take over and do the real tough work that he is doing right now.
My family's blessings should be available to all Americans. When a family can send their kids to school, walk their neighborhood after dark, and build a life without fear, every promise of the American dream is within reach. When they cannot, none of it is. That's my job, securing safety for every American.
All right. And Todd Blanche is a sort of a blue-collar lawyer. I mean, he mentioned he had a family first, and then he went to night school. And I think that Todd Blanche being confirmed as attorney, I think he will be confirmed as Attorney General. It hasn't happened yet, as far as I know. I think that once he becomes Attorney General, he's going to be the Attorney General for the remainder of President Trump's term, and he's going to oversee some of the most consequential prosecutions of the modern age. One of those is likely going to be the prosecution of fake special counsel Jack Smith. Of course, Josh Hawley was one of the people who had his text messages seized and read inappropriately by Jack Smith. And he, of course, asks Todd Blanche about the likely investigation of Jack Smith, keeping in mind that Todd Blanche can't comment on an open investigation of that sort. But he steps up to the line.
Question: did the records that you requested include the content of text messages? Smith, answer: no. Now, maybe there's some nuance I'm missing here, but it sounds a lot to me like this guy didn't tell the truth. Have you thought about investigating this guy for perjury?
We take testimony in front of this body very seriously, yes.
Good. Well, I think he absolutely should be investigated. I think he absolutely should be prosecuted, if at all possible. And based on his responses under oath, I think he should be. And I think it's time that we say that these people who did this, who engaged in this mass illegality, blatant violation of the separation of powers, blatant violation of the Constitution. We know what they did to President Trump. We know what they did to everyday innocent Americans. And that's before we even touch the issue of trying to recruit spies into Catholic parishes, sending members of the anti-terrorism division to go hound parents who went to school board meetings. It's unlike anything we've ever seen in American history. And my view is there needs to be accountability for it. I hope that you will investigate Jack Smith for perjury, and I hope that possibly you'll prosecute him.
It's an easy case. Jack Smith committed perjury. There you go. It's not going to be difficult. But, of course, he can't announce something like that until he's actually the attorney general. Because if he says, I'm going to prosecute Jack Smith, he's going to have a whole bunch of people immediately that are not going to vote to confirm him. Now, right here, Senator Dick Blumenthal, Da Nang Dick, a person who has made a career out of lying about his service, was asked on CNN earlier today about that lie that Jack Smith told. And his answer is very interesting, especially in light of what he ends up asking Todd Blanche about during his portion of the confirmation hearing. Take a listen to this. You're not going to believe it.
During this hearing, I mean, you heard it, Senator Kennedy asking Blanche to check for him if Jack Smith, the former special counsel, had spied on his email, Senator Kennedy's, after Republicans released documents ahead of this hearing purporting to show that Smith had accessed communications from dozens of lawmakers.
Not purporting, proving. The evidence is clear.
Republicans and some Democrats. Do you have questions about the emails and or the texts of the legislative branch that Smith accessed in his investigations of President Trump?
Like many of my colleagues, I would welcome more information, but as of right now, there's no real evidence of wrongdoing here. And I am hoping that the Department of Justice will focus on real wrongdoing, like the potential bribe I asked Todd Blanche to explain involving a pardon, $2.5 million paid by David Gentili to possibly a priest, Father Mann, who then spoke to Donald Trump. The Department of Justice shut down the investigation, but the implications are real because that.
Can you explain why you think
clemency,
there is no evidence of wrongdoing in that? I mean, Republicans are so concerned about this. Why do you think there's no evidence of wrongdoing?
I would welcome more information.
He's got nothing.
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
Yeah, there is obvious evidence of wrongdoing, and Da Nang Dick is doing everything he can to deflect in whatever direction he possibly can. There are not going to be any investigations into these things that he's mentioning because there is no there. There is nothing. But there is, however, evidence of Jack Smith lying.
But there's simply been no evidence that there is law breaking involved in the emails and
There was law breaking in his lying to Congress. That's where the law has been broken. He can't answer her question. I find it fascinating that she pressed him on this, and yet he still can't do it. Just like he couldn't tell the truth about his military service when he pretended that he actually fought in Vietnam.
Breaking of an intentional kind, there's simply no evidence. Well, anytime there's interference with legislative branch communications, it would violate basic norms.
And that's exactly what happened. Thank you for your attempt, Da Nang Dick. Now, she mentioned Senator Kennedy. This is, again, a classic Senator Kennedy moment. Senator Kennedy already knows the answer to the question. And, of course, he and Todd Blanche have a fun little exchange.
Did Jack Smith read my emails?
I'm not sure, Senator. I don't know.
Would you check for me?
We will check, Senator, yes.
I think he read Senator Grassley's emails. How did he, how can someone at the Department of Justice get Senator Grassley's emails without probable cause?
There are checks in place that should make it extraordinarily difficult for a prosecutor to collect and review a senator's emails or a congressman's emails or a lawyer's emails or other folks that have privilege protections associated with their communications. And those checks and balances should always be used.
But Mr. Smith just ignored them?
I cannot speak for Mr. Smith, Senator.
Would you check for me first if he read my emails? And
we will check.
Number two, how he got them. And number three, let's I don't mean to single out my friend Senator Grassley, but what emails did he get of Senator Grassley? And I mean, what were they limited to, if at all? You know, did he get emails of Senator Grassley talking about his corn harvest and all that? And who did he share them with? Do you know if Mr. Smith shared my emails with Attorney General Garland?
I do not know.
Can you check for me?
We are investigating that, Senator, yes.
Yeah, I'd kind of like to know all that.
Oh, man. Yeah, this will definitely hang Jack Smith up in a manner of speaking. And, of course, Cory Booker, he's got to get in on the action, talking about ethics with Todd Blanche. Todd Blanche, quite literally, is the most ethical man you're going to meet in D.C.
Every appearance or dinner or speech that I give are cleared by ethics officials.
So your attendance at that dinner was cleared by ethics officials?
Everything that I do.
I didn't ask you everything you do. Was your appearance at that dinner
You
cleared?
can ask the questions, but you cannot control my answers. I'm under oath, and I can answer the questions. I choose to answer them.
Were you
So what I will tell you
approved to
is when I do
yes
things
or no?
outside, when I
Were
do
you
things-
approved
when
by
I do
ethics
things
to-
outside of the department, whether it's a speech, whether it's a dinner, whether it's an event, they are approved by ethics officials.
You did not answer whether that attendance was approved.
Every time I go out, it's approved. Yes.
Cory Booker obviously doesn't like the answer because Todd Blanche is handling it beautifully. Now, here, Senator Welch wants Todd Blanche to denigrate Kash Patel, but he is not falling for the trap.
That is absolutely in the public interest. Do you support Mr. Patel's efforts to subpoena and get reporters under the grill to disclose who their confidential sources are?
The Department of Justice requires that I authorize it, which I did. And those reporters, we're not targeting reporters. They're material witnesses, just like a reporter would be a material witness to a car crash.
Yeah,
they
but
are witnesses. And so
in the question you want to ask them is who were their sources?
No,
that goes to the heart of the
no.
First Amendment.
No, the question we want to ask them is who provided them with classified national security information, which everybody in this body should want to protect. I would hope.
Speechless. Speechless because, of course, he knows that Todd is correct. This is not about getting the sources of journalists. This is about finding out who provided classified national security information for journalists. Now, of course, it wouldn't be a Senate confirmation hearing if we didn't hear from Adam Schiff. And, of course, Todd Blanche knows that Adam Schiff knows better, and he's not going to let him play games.
You didn't recuse yourself from that matter. You were willing.
There's no reason to, from the Proud Boys matter?
Yes,
I mean,
it was.
Lawyer,
it
you know
was,
the rules. There are rules that say when I
yes,
have to
there
be
are
recused,
rules,
and that's not one of them.
And there are rules, and when you're told to recuse yourself from investigations that you handle for the president, you're supposed to recuse yourself.
No, when
so
I represented
you have
the president.
you have also said, you've also refused to release Volume 2 of the Special Counsel's report. That was an investigation into the Mar-a-Lago documents case. How is that not an abundant conflict of interest? Refusing to release to the public an investigative report of an investigation into your client.
I am not a judge. A federal judge.
No. The department's position under you, Mr. Blanche, was do not release the report.
So that position.
If you went into court asking them to release it, it would be released by now. So how is that?
Todd Blanche's face is
not a patent conflict of interest.
What you're saying happens to not be true. I did not do that. What you're talking about happened before I became the Deputy Attorney
support the
General.
release of Volume 2?
No, I don't, but I'm recused and had nothing to do with that case. Like, you can't accuse me of violating my ethical rules and then lie about what I did.
So you didn't.
Adam Schiff is a perennial liar, a professional liar. Now, here also, Todd Blanche further goes at the heart of the matter. Adam Schiff's lies. Listen to this.
You asked me what happened to Todd Blanche. I am still here. I am the same exact person I was when I was a federal prosecutor in the SDNY, which is do the right thing and do everything you can to keep communities safe. So when I was a line prosecutor, when I was a supervisor, when I was the head of a division, my motivation and my goal was the same thing with the people who worked with me and worked for me, which is do the right thing, enforce the laws, and put bad guys in jail. And so you spend time talking about, I did not interrupt you. I did not interrupt you. A little courtesy would be appropriate. So when you ask me what has changed, okay, and you talk about a single document that I signed, okay, and somebody had to sign that document when the president sued, okay, so I tried to do the right thing. What I do every single day, and what the prosecutors in this country do every single day, and the nearly 100,000 indictments and informations that have been filed since January 20th, is exactly what everybody in this building should want the Department of Justice to do, which is to make our communities safer, enforce the laws, both civilly and criminally, and always do the right thing with integrity, which is exactly what I'm doing. So I am the same Todd Blanche I was when I was a federal prosecutor in the SDNY. You asked me.
Absolutely love how he handles Adam Schiff and everybody else. Now, here, Senator Coons tries to get Todd Blanche to denigrate both President Trump and Pam Bondi, but he also refuses.
Why he fired your predecessor?
I have no idea. I mean, President Trump, we all serve at the pleasure of President Trump in this administration.
Did President Trump ever post on Truth Social directing your predecessor to get at it, to prosecute his perceived political enemies?
I don't think those were his exact words. But
those were not his exact words,
no,
but clearly that was the intention. It is my impression, sir, that you are here rather than your predecessor because the president was unhappy with her failures to actually secure convictions of folks like Attorney General Tish James or former FBI Director Jim Comey. If you're confirmed and you're asked to take an action you believe to be illegal or unethical, would you resign?
That will never happen, but yes, if it were to happen, I'm not going to violate my oath to the Constitution.
I appreciate that answer. You did answer a question by a colleague about input that you gave to the president. Did you ever say no to the president on the slush fund, the anti-weaponization fund? Did you advise him against this?
I will not talk about communications I have with the president. I served as his lawyer for a couple years before he was elected. I'm the Deputy Attorney General and the Acting Attorney General, so I'm not going to talk about communications that I have with him. But Senator, I will say that President Trump trusts me to give him counsel. Counsel does not mean yes,
I recognize
man, and so that's true in my case, like it should be in any Attorney General's case.
Let me just.
Yes, again, a consummate professional. Now, here in this instance, again, Todd Blanche is asked by Senator Blumenthal about, yes, policy. I'm going to be finishing up in just a second, honey. This is Da Nang Dick, who we heard from earlier. Keeping in mind, once again, Da Nang Dick's penchant for lying and his attempts to, once again, secure some type of slime for Todd Blanche.
Were you or the Department of Justice consulted about this policy?
Well, that's not our policy, Senator. We would never send somebody home to be tortured. That's not what the American people would expect of us. That's certainly not what President Trump does. So I'm not familiar with the lawsuit you're talking about, but there's no such policy.
Will you commit to investigate these allegations?
I know nothing about the lawsuit. I will, when you say commit to investigate allegations, we don't do that. But certainly if the lawsuit needs to be answered and part of that includes investigation, absolutely.
Well, you do investigate allegations of illegality. This policy would clearly be not only illegal, but morally repugnant, would it not? You've agreed with me that it should not be the policy of the United States to do it.
But in your question, you're suggesting there is such a policy. I'm telling you there is no such policy.
The policy that the United States sends people to be tortured in other countries. Again, it just simply does not happen. Now, we will close out with this right here. Dick Durbin, as Marsha Blackburn has repeatedly reminded us, blocked the release of information related to Jeffrey Epstein on numerous occasions when he had the ability to put it out there. Here, Dick Durbin has suddenly become a champion for victims of Jeffrey Epstein, and he wants to now place blame on things that happened to these women at the feet of Todd Blanche and, of course, President Trump. But again, Todd Blanche masterfully handles Dick Durbin.
Let me talk to you for a moment about the survivors who are in the room. There are 10 individuals who were exploited and abused by Mr. Epstein. They are here today. None of them have had a chance to speak to anyone in the department or FBI, though they've asked repeatedly. So can I get your word under oath that within the next 30 days, you will personally sit down with these 10 victims and hear their case in terms of what needs to be done by the Department of Justice?
Chairman, I appreciate them being here today. I also have somebody from my office who's spent her entire career working on cases like Mr. Epstein's. She's in charge of our task force investigating human trafficking. She's available to talk to them.
She can sit right next to you. She can sit right next to you when you meet with these survivors.
I have never said I will not meet with survivors.
Will you meet with these 10 survivors? I'm asking you on the record.
If they have lawyers, as you know, I'm prohibited from meeting directly with them. I have met with counsel for survivors, as has many people in the Department of Justice, over 30. But if they are represented by counsel, we will work with their counsel. If they don't have a lawyer, I will certainly make arrangements to make sure the right people at the Department of Justice meet with them. Absolutely.
Will you get it done within the next 30 days that each
I
of
will
these
get it
survivors?
done today, if that's necessary. I mean, my point is there's somebody here who can meet with them today, get their information, and arrange to meet with them.
I think you ought to be in the room.
Pardon me?
I think you ought to be in the room because you ought to hear this. You had singular responsibility for these files. There was a delay in meeting the statutory requirement of disclosure. You were involved in that. I think you ought to be part of this.
I am definitely part of it, and I have been from day one.
And it will be done within the next 30 days?
I can keep on repeating myself, but I said it could get done as soon as today. It could have gotten done last week. We remain available to meet with any victim or their representative at any time.
Will you notify the committee when you've done this?
That would be prohibited by law if they're talking about an ongoing investigation.
I'm asking you if you'll notify the committee that you met with the survivors.
It depends on what they said. I'm not sure I'm allowed to notify you if there's an ongoing investigation.
Todd Blanche, again, so smart, so perfect on every single one of these answers. All right, got a couple of more thank yous over here on Rumble, and then I got to bounce because dinner is ready. If you haven't yet, please do me a favor, hit that like button. I would really appreciate it. If you guys are like me and you've got dogs at home and you already know that they are more than just a pet, they're part of the family, they are your best friend. And it turns out that America's founding fathers felt the exact same way. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, several of the men who helped build this country all had loyal dogs by their side, and some of them even traveled with them during the Revolutionary War, and those dogs were there for some of the most incredible moments in American history. When I found this out, I thought that's got to be a really cool way to get kids interested in that history, and it turns out a company called The Kids Guide is already doing this. They've got a guide for the children that is the Founders the Kids Guide to the Founders' Furry Friends, and it shares with those children the true stories of those remarkable dogs that belonged to America's founders. Beautifully illustrated, easy for kids to enjoy, teaches them about those people who shaped our country through the stories of those companions that they loved the most. So let's be honest, getting kids excited about history might not always be easy, but you tell them that they're about to learn about George Washington's dog and they might get their attention. Thought it was a genuinely clever idea, and you've got kids, even grandkids who love dogs, then I think this is something they're going to have a lot of fun with. Running a special offer right now that includes the Kids Guide to the Founders' Furry Friends, and it comes with some other freebies. So to take advantage of it, if you think that it's something that your family would enjoy, head on over to freeusadoggift.com. That is freeusadoggift.com. On Rumble, you can use that QR code on screen as well. So thank you again to G. Fontez. Thank you, finally, to Bowler Jack Bryan. Appreciate that $50 rant. Thanks, as always. Here is to the monthly stream goal. You are the best. I really appreciate you, buddy. And thank you to Trump One over on Pilled for the cookie. Much love, Zach and Lisa, for bringing the news. Thank you to Filter Dog. Look at how many people you know that follow X Private Chat 7. I've never heard of X Private Chat 7, but I will go ahead and check it out. Thank you to Sean Joe for the cookie. Thank you to Sean Joe for the cookie. Thank you to Sean Joe for the cookie. Okay, hang on. Let me just pull up X Private Chat 7. X Private Chat 7. I see. Okay, no. I spelled it incorrectly. Okay. X Private Chat 7. This is a fake Elon Musk account. I can already tell you, this is a fake Elon Musk account. They claim to be Elon with an M that is meant to look like a, let me just pull this up because I don't know how many people I know that follow X Private Chat 7, but I can already tell you I know that this is a fake Elon Musk account, which is why they probably tried to call you. I don't follow them. They don't follow me. There may be a bunch of people who follow them, but they claim to be the CEO at SpaceX, Tesla, and the co-founder, and it says it's a private account. It's not a private account. I guarantee you this is not Elon Musk. Elon Musk only has one account. This is somebody who is trying to mimic Elon Musk's account, and that's why they called you, because they are trying to scam you, okay? Not Elon Musk. Don't follow this account. I mean, yeah, that's all I can say. There's a ton of accounts just like this out there. All right, you guys, thank you for being here. Hit the like button. I'm going to send you over to somebody else's stream. I'll figure that out. Good luck. God bless. I'll see you tomorrow, 5 p.m. Red Pill News Live. Peace.